In this video, we are going to talk about the Supplier tab. Now, the first thing to take notice is these logos here are actually representing tabs. So, for example, if we click the WorldPack logo, it will change the page to WorldPack, IMC, DCI, Keystone, show me the parts. You get the idea. So we're going to focus on the WHI tab. Now, most, if not all, of the values that you enter into this page are going to come from the Nextpart system. When you first sign up with WHI, you can be signing up for either the aftermarket catalog or the OE catalog. And on this page, this is where we enter in the user IDs and passwords that power those web services. Those web services are referred to as CatLink and OrderLink. There is also a web service for OE CatLink or CatLink OE. Now, as we go through the fields, let's start at the top. CatLink user ID, CatLink password. Again, you can see those come from WHI. And there is an option to use WHI pricing. If we want to use WHI pricing, we just type in the value true. Okay, we can click here and it'll tell us, right, as you can see, type in true and the system will use the CatLink pricing when stock is not available. Okay, so when stock is not available, that's actually not entirely true. It can also work when stock is available if you have it turned on. Now, the click to test, basically when you get the user ID and password from WHI, you can click this button, and if they're accurate, it will actually say that it's passed or it's failed. OrderLink. OrderLink is how we send electronic orders to WHI. And as you can see here, there's actually two sets of user IDs and passwords. One is for sending orders, and the other is for pricing. So you could use one OrderLink user ID and password to get pricing, and you can use a different one to send electronic orders. You, of course, would have your reasons for doing that, so I don't need to explain the how and whys about that. The default branch ID. This is an optional field. You can default whatever your branch ID is that you want it to default. Same for the name. And basically, when our system fulfills the order, it will use those defaults. Ship type and fill type are optional IDs that will work with your DMS or WMS, or your supplier's DMS or WMS. That stands for Distribution Management System or Warehouse Management System. For example, the ship type, if we roll over it here, it might tell us, for example, maybe you're going to type in UPS or FedEx or USPS. These are values that you're using in the distributor system. For fill type, you can see here, well, actually, I thought we had the help in there. The fill type might say something like shotgun or first available, etc. Okay, use OrderLink staging server. Some distributors have a staging server for doing tests, and if you want to use it, you can say true. All right, now this is a very important field here, inventory access mode. If you're using OrderLink, most likely you're going to be connected. That's why it defaults to connected. However, you might use our offline inventory mode, and when you use the offline inventory mode, you might actually set OrderLink to disconnected. Okay, that would be a common setting. Now, for additional help with the configuration of your inventory, you can of course create a support ticket, and you do that by clicking the support link right here. Okay, as we scroll through here, it asks what fulfillment version. Now, there's really no reason for the 1.0 as it's been deprecated. We now use version 1.1, so that's what you should have. And OrderLink provider ID. This is a value that you will get from WHI, as the screen says here. The OrderLink URL, this is a default. I'm not quite sure why we show it on the page, but we do. I guess it could be changed if we needed to for testing. Disable updating of WHI catalog page. Okay, I'm not 100% sure what this does, so I roll over and it says enter true to disable updating of the WHI catalog page. I know what this is. This is the main and subcategory page that you see when you're doing a lookup at your store. So if you type in true in this field, we won't basically write over any changes that you've made to it. DCF CatLink credentials would go here. Test SKU. So if you want to use a test SKU every single time you test OrderLink, you can type in that part number here. Now you can see we have additional features for OrderLink for OE. Okay, and for the most part, these can be left blank. Your WHI implementer will fill in these fields if necessary, so we're not going to go into them. CatLink OE. So similar to CatLink Aftermarket, there is a user ID and a password, but there's also two additional values. One is called the CatLink authentication key, the other is the provider ID, and these values again are going to come from WHI implementation department. Now, we also have a separate area for order link credentials for the OE catalog, and the reason we have that is some of our sellers, for example a car dealer, might have his own dealer management system integrated with his B2C site, and for that he'll type in a user ID and password. Now, he also might be buying from the aftermarket or using the aftermarket catalog at his site, and he might be buying from a third-party distributor. Well, if that's the case, that third-party distributor would give him an order link user ID and password. And this is, of course, how you would then integrate OE and aftermarket at the same site for order link. A little bit confusing, but at least now you have a general idea of what's up. And finally, we have the OE accessory catalog. That data comes from our partner B2C Central, and there'll be an ID that they'll give you to use at your site. And this also has the ability to do connected or disconnected. And basically what that means is if it's disconnected, you're going to use the pricing from B2C Central. And if it's connected, we're going to actually use the order link user ID and password to get pricing for the OE accessory catalog. Now, we have these other tabs for WorldPack, for IMC, and they work similarly. The user IDs and passwords and API certificates and all of that come from your license that you get from one of our various partners. So you don't get these values from us, you get them from the people that you're licensed with. If you have any further questions regarding the Supplier tab, please click the support link and create a support ticket.